Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing our thing again with this bin where we're using this bait tray. It's been 3 days. I'm going to try and pull as many worms out of here as possible. Let's see. This time we use a different kind of bedding. We used the bedding that had been sitting outside with some leaves in there. I did mix some chow in here and I actually did give them a feeding yesterday. I haven't done any in-between shots or videos of checking in like I did last time on day 1 and day 2. I've just left them. I did take a little like ice cream stick thing that I use for the plants to have a little dig through here, and honestly there weren't that many worms in there on the first day. On the second day there was a few more. That's interesting. The sprouts are coming through from the bottom of this tray, which is telling me it's very fertile. There's some of that chow that I fed them yesterday. Let's just take a quick look. But there are worms in here. There are worms in here. So before, actually, let me just back up. Before we start messing around with these guys, I don't want them to go down. Let's take a look in the bin that we emptied out last week. Also sprouts in here. Just goes to show how fertile worm castings are. Look at all these worms. I just want to give them a little fluff because I know that I'm just going to add more worms and different bedding into this. So I don't want it to compact too much before mixing it again. These look great. They're healthy. The moisture level's good. Could do with a little bit more, but it's fine. They don't seem to be minding that. Okay, let's take that off. Let's pull this off. I did find some pot worms or some maggots in the breeder bin the other day. I posted a video today actually, and it's from the humidity in the bins, not the moisture. So the moisture level can be wet, it can be good, but if you have thick plastic like this and it's not allowing it to breathe and it's causing a lot of humidity, it can cause maggots. So just keep that in mind. Let's check the bin temperature quickly. The AC has been on in here all day long. Around 77, so it's colder than usual, which is fine. Okay, there's a good amount of worms in here. I was a little bit worried. Excuse me. Let's just try and make this flat. And I'm going to try not to get worms all over the bloody counter this time. So just bear with me. Oop. Lots of worms. Let me just take this camera off and I'll show you what's going on down below. Okay, this is going to be tricky with one hand. Just so you guys can see. There's some worms. Those sprouts came all the way down from below. A few worms on the top of this. I'll tell you what, let me empty this tray and then we'll discuss what we're going to do next with this bin. This tray, there might be a couple of escapees somewhere, but we'll get into that in a second. And honestly, it wasn't too bad. There were quite a lot of worms in here, as you can see. I'm not sure if there were as many as the first time round, but I mean, that's kind of expected, I suppose. What I'm really interested about is to see what the moisture level is like in here. It looks pretty moist. I think there was a lot of the moisture that was in this bedding seeped down into here. So I have to kind of make a choice now. Yeah, this bedding is quite wet, and it shouldn't be. The edges are dry. There's definitely considerably less worms in here, I have to admit. But I think it's time to say goodbye to the bait trap method and just leave these guys out to be able to dry out maybe a few days. I mean, honestly, if I didn't need to get the castings out of it, I'd leave them. Yeah, they're just so fertile. Everything's just growing. Yeah, there's definitely considerably less worms in here. So the majority of the worms have all come out of this method here. Admittedly, when I saw this method being used with the mesh cloth by Captain Matt, he was doing it for his breeders, you know, 250 red wigglers. I thought that would be really good when I'm doing 100 night crawlers. I never, well, I thought I could use it in this successfully. I didn't realize how many worms I had in here at that time, and just how difficult it would be trying to corral, you know, a couple of thousand worms into, you know, 3 inches of bedding. So maybe that wasn't the brightest of ideas, but it worked nonetheless. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pick out these worms one by one. I'm just going through, just seeing if I can remove some of these pumpkin sprouts. Yeah, these castings are lovely, mate. I'm trying to create as much castings as possible over the next, I would say, over the next, what are we now? We're in February. Over the next 6 months, because all of my beds at the back of the house, I'm converting into raised beds. So I'm going to need something like, I don't know how to explain it. You guys deal in yards and stuff. We deal in, you know, kilos. If I was to put it in pounds, I would say I need around 2,000 pounds of castings, which I'm not going to get from this many worms, that's for sure. But I need around 2,000 pounds of dirt, compost and vermicompost. So my compost bin at the back has got wood chips and organic matter that's been going in. I'm about to mow the lawn and add some nice nitrogen into that as well. So that's going to be able to add a lot more volume into what I'm doing, and that's 6 months is enough time for me to generate around, I don't know, 1,000 pounds of compost. So I need I think about 2,000 pounds in total, I would say, to be able to build the beds in the way that I want to with sufficient compost. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how close I get and how much I'll have to buy in, but that'll be another video for sure. But yeah, you know what, honestly, a few worms here and there, but the majority of the worms, as we're mixing this around now, there's not the same kind of numbers in here that we saw when we were fluffing it last time. You know, a few worms here and there, but even last time after we were pulling them out, you know, after we pulled out that tray, when we fluffed this bed, there was still tons of worms in this, tons and tons of worms in this. I'll try and put a little video in so you can see. But yeah, ooh, what's going on here? I don't know if you can see. I can't really see what's going on there. Are they stuck together or are they mating? Something's happening. There's just too much dirt. I think they're mating. Okay, so that's that. We're now going to cover this up. I'm going to try and make sure there's no worms in here, because they like to sneak in between these between this duct tape. and the basket. Sorry, my language seems to have left me. I want to make sure that I've got no cocoons stuck anywhere. Oops. I'll tell you what, this worm farming is messy business. No wisps, no baby worms like this time as there were last. I can't see any cocoons. Honestly, I'm really happy about that. That's very good. So we're going to leave this out. We're going to leave this to dry out now. We're going to leave this to dry out. I'm not going to use this basket method again because it's just adding too much moisture to these castings, and I want these to come out now. My only concern is that because this moisture level is quite high, I'm going to have so many cocoons that are going to hatch in here over the next few days. Yeah. So many cocoons. What's that? Little potworm or something? Something creepy crawly. See, little baby worms. So yeah, I just need it to dry out so I can sift it. So check back with me in a few days. We'll give this a nice little sift. I don't think I'm going to cover it. I'm going to leave it completely open to the elements and just drive the moisture out of this and drive these guys down, and we'll just take it from there. I will just put this basket down just to give it some kind of cover. These guys are good. As always, I'm going to ask you guys, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you guys to like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, show your boys some love. But yeah, that's how we do. Beautiful worms. And guys, I really appreciate your comments. It really, I get excited every time I see a comment, more than any like subscription or anything else. I prefer people asking questions or just contributing their advice. I love it. Thank you so much. There's so many of you out there who are like contributing every day, and it makes me feel appreciated, and it lets me know that you guys are watching and enjoying the video. So tell me where you're from, what you're doing, who you are, what's going on, and yeah, I'd love to know more. Be good.